HR. And I actually am right now running the company that my mother started.
Oh,
And
wow.
she started that when I was 9 years old. So,
Wow.
um, my parents got divorced when I was young. So single mom raising my sister and I, and decided to start a business when not a lot of women were starting businesses and in a tech field, which,
Mhm.
also wasn't something that many women were doing. And I remember I tell people, like, people always ask, like, oh, how did you get into recruiting? And I'm like, oh, I was born into recruiting. And I'm like, well, I was probably 9. And actually
Mhm.
it was younger than that, but because before she started her own company, she worked in the recruiting industry. And I remember being at home, and she would have to make calls at night because, back then that's kind of what recruiters did.
Right.
And having 2 young kids, she would actually sit us on her bed, and she would turn the TV on, turn the volume off, and then she would make recruiting calls, and we'd listen to her make these calls while we watched TV with no sound. And then, and back then too, we didn't have like the computer systems, everything was on paper. So she would always have to send out like questionnaires or like
Right.
no thanks letters or stuff like that. And so while she was talking, she would have the phone like, kind of propped on her shoulder, and she would be doing all this stuff and signing things and making forms. And then she would hand them to my sister and I. We would fold them and stuff them, and then she would address them.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so like I was a part of all of that as a really young boy, and got to watch my mom start her company, and then obviously had the ability to come in and do that right out of college, and then start my corporate career, and then come back when she decided to retire and come in and run the company. So I've been pretty fortunate to have really good role models, in that space, kind of growing up and seeing that. So.